We're good to go now. All right, Marco, take it away. Show me what you got for the next 4 or 5 days.
Fantastic. Give me a second here. Hopefully you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
My name is Marco Guzman. I will be presenting on behalf of Social Board 2. Our team is comprised of Jonathan Holloway, Kevin Tran, Modesto Tamayo, and Jeffrey Artrip. So if you look at our board, this is what we're doing this week, and I'll read that off. But as tasks are being added, we are, if there's an additional, let's say, form or something else that we need to do, we are adding it to this to-do tab here. And if once we're working on something, if we feel like we ourselves don't have the solution, we put it here under bugs. So for example, for myself, I'm working on displaying images to a comments and reply post, and I'm gonna need to turn that into a reusable component. So I put that under bugs. I already figured out how to do it, so I'm just gonna put that over here and to do. But for this week, as long with that, we'll be working as well as continuing to test new features as we're adding it to, for example, Auth0 in our backend. Jeffrey Artrip will be working on to show a list of the teams the user is a part of under the teams text. Jonathan will be working on an invite friends link functionality. Jeffrey will do the delete comments on the front end, the endpoint. Along that, we'll be checking for site responsiveness to make sure that everything looks good. Many of the pages that we inherited already had proper CSS, so that's fantastic. We just gotta make sure to add our own once the time comes. And we'll have a meeting about that tomorrow. Kevin Tran will be working on the follow view, and Modesto's working on the update search to work with teams. So that's for this week. We're trying to finish our APIs this week. That's the goal, and once we do that, we'll jump into CSS. So that is it for Social Board Team 2 for this week.
All right, Marco. Thank you for the presentation. A couple questions I have on what you have. So your API endpoints, what do you have left in what you need to finish for your endpoints? As in, like, for this week, not right now, but in terms of, like, let's see. Well, I'll just let you take it away.
Yeah.
Where are you with API endpoints right now?
I think it's honestly, and my team's here so they can unmute themselves and bring up what needs to be done. But for me, I need to finish CRUD for displaying images in a post. So right now I can upload a file locally, but now I just need to be able to display that for everyone to see. So I need to be able to connect that to what was it? I have it up here too. Give me a second. Let me look at this. Cloudinary. So I have to figure out how to connect it to Cloudinary, and then from that be able to post it so that people can see it on their end.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking with Cloudinary with the presentation before. It's just like how killer it is. They got a command line tool that like comes in really, really slick for doing like batch processing, or the image processing of just like minifying, stripping out the metadata and all that. It's definitely awesome that you're going to be using Cloudinary for that. That's cool.
Yeah, and then Jonathan just literally, as before the meeting started, he just got done working with NodeMailer to send invites through NodeMailer. So that's
pretty I see. Excellent.
Cool. So he put that under bug fixes.
Yeah.
So
would you have to write an API endpoint for that? On your end?
I don't think so, right, Jonathan? I mean, I think Jonathan's on here. I don't think so. I think it was just being able to post the link up to any user. So our problem was that go ahead, Jonathan.
I did have to add an endpoint. So that was the reason why we gave ourselves a 2 and not a 3, because we knew it was possible that some other endpoints would come up last week for the score. Yeah. And that's one of the endpoints that did come up. I had to create that endpoint for NodeMailer that I didn't consider last week. And today I did and tested it. So
yeah. Okay, cool. So that seems to be good on your API endpoints seem to be completely feasible for the week, I think you'll be in good shape with that. In regards to the layout, do any of you, can pop in here, but do you anticipate any kind of like headaches having to work within this already? The fact that Symposium already has CSS written, do you have any, like, I don't know, concerns that maybe the CSS that you're writing could get confused with it, or do you think it's going to be easy just to slide right in as it was, like, with what's already there?
I could chip in on this. So right now, Huffman got rid of the bootstrapped out because due to some issues with it with the other site, the original Symposium. So right now, and the main framework that's in it right now is the style components, and I've taken time to learn and gotten used to it, comfortable with it. So it's very easy to work because as you use JavaScript with CSS, it's very smooth. Though there is some like minor issues with it, but I'm going to try work on those issues. But overall, I think we could handle it. It's just getting used to the style components, but once you get used to it, it's actually pretty intuitive. So I'm not too worried about that right now.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely. Because I think this is going to be unique for weeks. Well, I mean, I know that there's a week 3 and then week 2 with everybody assembled here, but in regards to, say, the responsiveness of the site, I know that's going to be a little bit different just because of the fact that you might already have like media queries written. If it's an adaptive design, or if it's like a boneless approach, then maybe you won't need to worry about media queries. But as you write these components, I'm sure it's something that you'll have to tangle with at some point. So I guess something to keep in mind. Good thing you got Huffman here though, so he could advise on that, since he's already had a hand in those styles, in those components to begin with. So cool, awesome. Well, I think that's all that I have. I think that addresses everything that I was wondering about, and it looks like you are all looking good for the week. Thank you for presenting, Marco.
Absolutely.
And without further ado, then I'll pass along to the other group, and who's going to be presenting and showing me what they'll be working on for next week.
Hello everybody. My name is Brandon, and I'm with Social Phase 3. And our goal for the week is to get all our 80% of our endpoints done, but most likely, I think we'll be able to get all of them done. We have about maybe 4 maybe to do, but we'll get them done. And we have to do the CRUD for well, we have tasks, and this is our task to complete. We have a CRUD task to complete. We have to create the initial admin React component, and create a component to map and pull existing user endpoints, add button to our turn basic user, to turn a basic user into a moderator, create endpoint to pull and list list of users who are moderators. But we have to create we also have to create a new table to hold a list of allowed users, email addresses, and endpoints to post and delete from the emails from the table. We all set this up into a Trello cards. Is that all right for me to share my screen?
Yeah, please do.
Oh, okay. Let me share my screen. These are the Trello cards that we have set up for this week. Our to-do list. And I think our blocker is most likely going to be the Google Analytics. Most likely setting that up with the admin, but I think we're going to be able to get through it pretty well, and this is going to be a good week. So
what is the what is it that you foresee being a problem with using analytics? Or maybe before you answer that, what is it that you want to
Okay.
achieve with using Google Analytics?
To be able to to be able to go through our users, to be able to see things as an administrator that there's like the analytics wasn't there before, where you could be able to see what user analytics.
But I mean, just give me a use case. Give me a user example of what kind of statistics that you want to track with this.
Posts.
Top of the dome, though. Like you say you're an administrator, and what is it that you want to track about a user? What's a use case for what it is that you want to do with this?
And so you can track posts.
And why would you want to track a post? Pretend like I have no idea what this project does, and we're in an elevator together.
Okay.
And anybody else can also jump in here.
Yeah, please.
This is a group after all, right?
Issue we were trying to come across, so everything is going to be a problem for us, is bringing the information down from the Google Analytics website back into our site so that we can just see it straight off of our website instead of having to log into Google Analytics site. So we know that Google can grab a bunch of information for us automatically, but just say we want to see how many people have been logged in that day. Right now, we're stuck with trying to pull that information back down off of the Google site instead of just seeing it on our end.
Yeah, and I think that a good approach for that too would probably be if you have the Google Analytics. I won't try to sugarcoat it. It's tough. It could be a pain when you're trying to work that. You got to massage the data a lot when you're working with it. But once you do get it, probably the easiest way to go about doing what you're trying to do with this is if you just have, say, the things that you want to track. Say last edited, last logged in, things like that. It's just simply a matter of if you have something set on your state for that user, and using a fetch method from Google Analytics API, it'll spit out that raw data to you, which you can just hook right into the state of a user or a post or whatever it is that you want to track with it. It's probably best not to overthink it when it comes to using that API. Just grab the data. Once you're able to massage it into what you need from it, just put it right on state. Just take it right out of state. And I know I'm simplifying it, but it really is, once you finally do get it to play nice with when you can fetch that data and get it back and it plays nice into the format that you need it in, then it's all good. It took me a long time to get comfortable using the analytics API. And again, I'm not trying to make it sound like you're in for a lot of fun, but there's a lot of bad documentation with it. So you gotta be persistent trying to dig up resources on it. If I have anything still that I can pull up that I think is helpful, I'll be happy to send it your way. And so, having said all that, my last question is, do you foresee, like I asked the previous group, do you foresee any difficulties in your layout working within a layout that's already been designed in Symposium?
No.
We might run into some when we're looking at it on a phone or something, because some of those styled components do not scale.
That's the only thing, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess because the majority of this is going to be Symposium on a phone. Huffman, maybe you can bring up the speed down. Like, you don't really have much in the way of like rearranging with media queries when you're on the phone view of Symposium, right? Like it's really, you're just columnizing everything. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. And we're also like removing certain information that would be too much to display on a phone view as well.
Yeah. All right then. So those are the questions I have. Moving forward through the rest of the week, I would think that it seems like your endpoints are going to be probably the easiest part about this whole week, except for just like how you're going to get the information from. Well, I guess that is the majority of what you're going to be doing with the API. Does anybody here have a analytics API key already? I mean, on this team specifically. Okay, Amber's got one. So just so you're aware, if you're going to be using that when you sign up for it, like, I mean, you already have one, but as you're working with it, you might run into like some caps with it, like data caps. And if that's the case, then you can, inside of your like dashboard platform or whatever, when you're configuring, you can set a cap on how much data is going to be consumed. That way you don't get charged if something goes awry, if you accidentally push a repo that has your API key in the open, which I don't need to remind you not to do, but if it does come up, as it has come up with me before, because something just like I just forget to switch an environment variable or whatever, it'll make sure that you don't get blasted for it, and it'll just send you a message saying like, hey Amber, by the way, you're keeping up. You had 300,000 page views in the last like 24 hours, whatever. Then okay, then something got wrong. The API key is floating around there. And in which case, you can just do what I've done in groups before, where you just have somebody else register an API key. It's all good. Like you can have everybody in the group using a different API key, and you're just wiring it into the project. It doesn't matter whose key it is, because it's all just going to be accessing the same information. It doesn't matter whose key it is. I don't know if that's obvious, but it's something that I wish I knew before I started digging into that. So
I thought the Google Analytics actually gives you like a year free trial. Am I just thinking of the Maps API?
I thought it was just the Maps API, but you might be right. It might be different now, because everything about their APIs is like it's different.
I know, like, I don't think they charge you. They just tell you, like, hey, you hit your cap. Do you want to like pay more? Because I know like they have a lot of like developers are learning. So
yeah, I think maybe by default then they have it set at a cap. But it's definitely something to like make sure that is the case, because again, it's not fun getting that bill if it comes up. So okay, anybody have any questions for me? Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it here, leaving you in good hands with Huffman. I know that he's gonna be your #1 source of truth in everything that you're working on here. I think y'all are doing great work. Brandon, thank you for presenting. And Marco, thank you for presenting again. And if there's anything I can do, you know how to reach me, you know how to get a hold of me. And yeah, let's talk out the week and just catch up, see where you find yourself in the middle of the week, and then we could see how it's all going to look on Friday. I feel good about seeing you guys on Friday, but in the meantime, if there's anything I can do, let me know. Okay. Thank you for checking in, and I'll talk to you throughout the week.
Awesome. Thank you.
See you later.